Hi, I'm Melissa Muir. Welcome back. In this video series, we've been talking about some of the new Badeco products, including the MX-2 as well as the MX-4 Touch. Both of these are part of their carbon series. In this video, I'd like to introduce you to the different motors as well as the hand pieces. So let's jump in and take a look at what we have to work with. One of the things that's a little different about working with Badeco Micromotors is that you have a motor and you have a hand piece, and you can mix and match the different pieces together, assuming that they are the same size. So let's look at motors first, because you'll see here I've got 4 different motors, and really I only have 3 different motors sitting here. I have what is called the Strong as well as a Nano. Now the Strong is going to have more torque, it's going to have higher speed, whereas the Nano is going to have a little less torque and a little less speed. And we have one here that's even smaller, which is going to provide higher speed but less torque. And it has a special job that may or may not even be appropriate in a jewelry studio. So we'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a quick look at the difference between a Nano and a Strong motor. All right, the Strong motor definitely has a little bit more weight to it. The barrel of it is a bit thicker, so we have some more weight on it if we're holding it like this or coming down. However, I don't find that it is so heavy that it's cumbersome or too tiring to use. This is an RS2000, and it was going to have a 20,000 RPM, and the torque on it is really high. Now torque is measured in centimeters Newton, and this has 24.7 centimeters Newton, which is a lot. So that's going to make it so that we don't bog down as easily, and also if we have a hammer handpiece on this, it's going to give us a harder stroke. Now the Nano motor is much thinner. It's about the size or thickness of a thick marker, okay, so like a permanent marker or something like that. It's very lightweight, and just like the Strong motor, both of them have a very soft and pliable cord that will then attach to our control boxes. The RS3000 will go up to 12,500 and has a whopping 15.5 centimeters Newton, so that's got some pretty good torque to that. Now this is a multi-task Nano motor, and that's going to allow us to switch between the hammer hand pieces as well as a rotary hand piece or a filer. So you have some different options. Now these 2 Nano motors are the same thing. They are the 3000 SP. Now if I take this off, you'll see that they look just alike. And again, the hand piece is going to alter its functionality. And then we have the RS3000V. Now this one, like I said, is not really adapted to jewelry purposes, but is used a lot more in the watch industry. So this one is going to go to 30,000 RPM, but its torque is only at 11.3 centimeters Newton. So again, not as strong, but you need that speed and that lighter torque when you're doing some of the watch work so that you don't remove too much metal. This particular handpiece is better to use with the rotary or the HP 460, which is going to be a quick change handpiece. All right, so once you've got your motor picked out, then you have all the different options of hammer hand pieces, rotary hand pieces, or filers. So let's talk a little bit about our rotary hand piece. This is going to be pretty similar to what you think of for a rotary hand piece. It's going to be similar to what you have for any other quick change hand piece that you might have in your studio. So I'm just going to twist this to unlock it, and then I've got a 3/32 inch mandrel or 2.35 millimeters that can then be swapped out, and then I can just lock that back into place by rotating the silver collar here. So here I have 2 different hand pieces. The one that goes to the Nano, which is an HP 460. This is a rotary hand piece that is also a quick change. So it's going to hold the 3/32 or 2.35 millimeter accessories that we're used to using in the jewelry industry. This is a 465. Now, if you look at them, they look like they're pretty identical until we go to remove them. And then you will see that there is this extra little collar here. And so that's what's going to indicate to me right off the bat that this is for a Strong motor versus a Nano motor. So you can see the difference there. They are not interchangeable, so I could not take a Nano handpiece and put it onto a Strong motor, and vice versa. I cannot take a Strong handpiece and put it onto the Nano motor. One of the things I like about the Badeco tools, it is very clearly labeled with which handpiece I have. So here I can see that I have an HP 460, and this one is the HP 465. Here in my studio, I have more of the Nano handpieces, so I'm going to talk about that in regards to the Nano, but just know that there are similar items for the Strong motor as well. Let's talk a little bit about the hammer hand pieces. Notice that a couple of these look the same, and then one is a little bit longer. Let's talk about the two that are the same. Now these are both 518, which tells me that it's a hammer hand piece. So 518 and 528 are hammer hand pieces. However, there is a letter after each one of these. This one is a C and this one is a USP. Now that is going to indicate to me the stroke strength of these. Both of them are going to run from 2,000 to 12,500 RPM. However, we can also add a reducer to that. So this is a reducer, and it's a quarter reducer. So that means I'm going to drop my speed from 2,000 to 12,500 all the way down to 500 to 3125. So it's going to give me a much slower stroke, and that allows me to do a hit by hit if I'm working on something very delicate. Now, the 528 series has that reducer built in. So it is the same thing as the 518 and then whatever number you have. So this happens to be a C, this is a C. So these are both going to hit a lot stronger than the USP, which is going to be my softest. Now there's also a middle strength in here that is called an SP. All right, I don't have that one, but that's kind of your changes. If I were to take the 518C and put this reducer on it, then it's going to be the exact same thing as the 528C. They would run at the same speed. Now here's another thing you could do. If you want to run even slower, you could take this reducer and put it on the 528C and slow this down even more. The benefit to having an external reducer is that if the reducer or something happens to that goes bad, you don't have to replace your whole handpiece. Not that I really foresee that being a problem, but it also allows you to have two options rather than just one. Now, similar to other hammer hand pieces, you've got different anvil points that you can use. Now, they've also included a little bar in here that then you can come in and remove this. And it simply unscrews, and then I can take whatever other anvil point I want, screw that in, and then again, I'm going to take my little tool here and give that a snug little tug, and now we're ready to go with a different anvil point. The thing that's kind of nice is that you can buy anvil points individually, and they have a whole variety of them, different sizes, different shapes that are ready to go, or you can buy a set like this. So this one has 9 anvil points in it, and again, various sizes and shapes. You can also buy additional unhardened points, where then you can easily shape this with a file and sandpaper or any of your other type of shaping tools. When we're working with a hammer hand piece, we can also increase or decrease that stroke strength. So there is a small knob here, and it has an arrow on here to show you which direction you're going to go. And it's going to allow you to give quite a bit of change on this, and you can make it stronger or you can make it so that it's a little softer. So if I'm working against a really delicate stone, I probably don't want to go out at full force with that full power, so I might back it off a little bit. Now, in addition to and similar to function is going to be a filer. Now, this filer piece, again, I can remove and give different options in this as well. So this one will happen to hold some of the different ceramic stones. So here I have a long blue ceramic stone. That's pretty long. So I would want to alter that. I would put it in here and then maybe break it down to whatever size I want that to be. And it's going to accept wider as well as narrower or thinner ceramic files also. Now, the ceramic filer, how is this different than a hammer hand piece? This particular one is the 5LC100. Now, there's also a 5LC50, okay, and that's going to tell me how long the stroke length is. And in this case, the 100 is going to have a 1 millimeter stroke length. So every time it goes up or down, it's 1 millimeter. That's not a lot, but it's really nice to have if you have something like a pierced work or whatever else. Now here, I just showed you that I have the ceramic stones that are flat, but this will also hold, this particular handpiece will also hold round stones as well. So you have the option of using whichever that way. Then they also have a fun little one that you can just use some double-sided sticky tape, and you can tape a small piece of sandpaper on here, and that will allow you to have even two sides if you want, and then you can start to get in there and sand those tight little areas. To swap out one of my anvil points, it's pretty easy. We have a small tightening tool here. I can just stick that little pin in the hole and unscrew, and now I'm ready to swap out to whatever else I want. Now another thing that I like to do is I'll use that little pin and just make it so it's nice and snug there. If ever I need to alter or maybe adjust some things, it also comes with a small wrench that will then, you could use that here as a holder if something isn't quite as tight as you need that, and then you can make some adjustments there also. So as you can see, we have a lot of different options and ways to configure this. We can have maybe something that gives us a really strong stroke to a light stroke, nice and slow, or you could go faster. We have the ability to speed up or slow that down. And then with the different accessories, we also have a lot of options that give us even more versatility. Now, as you can see, this is a pretty robust system. There's a lot of different options so that you are going to be able to get exactly what you need. Now, you can start off with just a little bit and build, and that is one of the best parts about the system, having the motor separate from the hand pieces, and you can get started and then figure out what you need as you go. If you still have questions, please drop those down in the comments, and I will do my best to help direct you to what the best solution for you will be.